Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're gonna talk about how to configure SQL database or how to link SQL database with Node.js. More specifically, we're gonna link MySQL database. Okay, so first you need to install MySQL. Okay, here you can select the version. So I'm selecting Innovation. Select operating system, Windows, Ubuntu, Debian, macOS, anything. I'm using Windows, so I'm gonna select this MSI installer, download, and you will have this page. So you can create an account or just simply select no thanks, just start my download. Okay, and now it's starting. So when the download is done, you can install it. It's just simple installation. I'm not gonna show you the steps, but in the installation steps it will gonna ask you about a password. So create a password and remember it because we need to connect. Okay, so when the installation is done, you can search for MySQL and you will have this MySQL command line client. Okay, let's open this up. Okay, as you can see, he's requesting a password, okay, which is the one you created in the installation. So let's type it, and now we are in. So here you can do anything related to database. Okay, maybe you can create a database. Okay, database, and you can use that database. Okay, but I already have some databases. Okay, so I'm gonna just drop this one because I don't need it. So you can just type show databases and it will show you all the databases you have. Okay, so maybe you have an empty database, maybe you just have information schema and performance schema. Okay, they have all of this. So I'm just gonna use one of them, which is e-commerce. Okay, and now we are done with this database window. Okay, let's close this up and let's go back to VS Code. So the first thing, we need to install the dependency. Okay, so let's type npm install and it's called MySQL 2. Okay, just make sure you install MySQL 2. Okay, so for this video I'm just gonna use MySQL 2. Okay, install this. And let's just wait for the installation process. We also need some sort of dependency, which is .env, and I'm gonna talk about this in a minute. So .env is just gonna allow us create an env file, and if you don't know what an env file is, it's just a local file where you can put the sensitive information, maybe password or user or maybe database name, in that file. Okay, so when you push maybe the project to GitHub or anywhere else, this specific file won't get pushed. Okay, so your configuration or your sensitive information will be stored in your local machine. Okay, so let's create that env file. Okay, it's just .env. So in this specific file we can type maybe user. So the default username for the MySQL database is root. Okay, so let's type root. We also need the password. Okay, so password, and type your password. We also need the host. Okay, so this because we are developing in local machine, so local host is our host, but if you push that to your server, so you just need to change this. Okay, host, and we need db name, okay, which is database name. So as you saw earlier, I used e-commerce. I think I typed it like that. Okay, so that's just a simple configuration. Also, yeah, we need port. So I'm just using 380 for the Express app, okay, and I'm using DB port, okay. So by default MySQL use 3306 default port. And now we are done with this file, with the env file. Now let's create another file which will have the db configuration, okay. So let's just simply name it dbconfig.js, and the first thing we need is import the env file, okay, because we have the user, the password, everything in that file, okay. So let's require and .env. Okay. Next, let's create the configuration. Let's maybe name it connection. Okay. So here, let's say we have an object db, which is a db configuration. Okay. So the first thing we have user, which is process.env.user. Okay. The last part is simply the variable name in this file, okay. So we have user. So for the password, we have process.env.password. Okay, it's all capped. What else? Yes, we have host. So we have process.env.host. We have also database, which is the database name, process.env. What did I name that? DB name. Okay, let's make sure we have user, password, host, DB name, user, password, host, and DB name, and that's it. Okay, let's export that. Okay, module.exports equals connection. Okay, yeah, one more thing we need to do is .env.config. Okay, and maybe if you have the env file in another directory, just remove that. Okay, and configure it manually. Okay, so we have .env.config, and here you will need to pass path. Okay, and you pass the path as string. Okay, let's say ./env or something. Okay, let's save this. Now let's create another file which is db connection. Okay, so we created an env file which has all the sensitive information: user, password, host name, port. Okay, then we created the db config, which have all the parameters for the db. Okay, sorry, and then we need to create db, maybe let's name it db service or something. Okay, so let's say db service.js. Okay, and you will see why we created this file. Okay, so now let's start by importing MySQL. Okay, which is MySQL 2/promise. Then we need to import that configuration, which is dbconfig file. Okay, so require, and we have dbconfig. Okay, JS. Now let's create a function, and let's see what kind of functions. Okay, so this function is just gonna execute or run a query. Okay, so let's say we need to select all the users. Okay, so we just call query and give it the query as a string. Okay, maybe we need to insert something, to delete something. We're just gonna use one simple function, which is query. Okay, it takes as a parameter SQL, which is query. Okay, And for the body, let's first create connection. Okay, because remember we have the configuration, okay, but we didn't create the connection till now. So we have await MySQL dot create connection, and for this function we pass the config. So we have config, and remember we have db. Okay, here it is. Here's the connection and here's the db. Okay, so db. So we're gonna wait for this function to complete. Then we have result, which is wait that connection. Okay, and we have to execute this query, right? As simple as that. Then we're gonna just return results. Okay, this function is not that effective. Okay, so if you have an error or something, you won't find out, but as a start, it will work. Okay, so we have module.export, and we have the query. Okay, now we have the sensitive information in the file. We have the dbconfig in this dbconfig.js, and we have the db service, right? Okay, let's test this out. So let's go for the index.js. So this is just a simple app with Express. Okay, so let's delete this. Oh, actually, let's create .env, which will require .env and config. Okay, then for the port, let's say we have process.env.port. Okay, let's delete this. And for the users, okay, so let's remove this and let's replace it with try catch. So for the try, we need to import actually the query. So we have const, we have query, and require db service. Okay, and for the users, let's say query dot query. Okay, and here we pass our SQL. Okay, so let's say select all from user. Okay, so here we have, let's say, const result, or maybe let's name it rows, this query select from user. Here let's just response.json, and here response.json users row. Okay, let's test this out. Let's run our server. Okay, missing script. Oh yeah, I think it just npm start. Okay, it's fine. Let's go back here. Let's see, localhost users. So we have empty. Why is that? So I found the error, and it's just stupid error. Okay, let's admit it. Okay, so we have to wait on this. Okay, let's make it async. Restart the server, and check again. Let's see. So as you can see, here's the response. Go. It's not that pretty, but yeah. Okay, here it is. So we have all the users. Okay, so our configuration is working perfectly. So that's it for this video, which is just a quick video, maybe it's 20 minutes, about how to configure the SQL server, which is MySQL with Node.js, and we tested it with Express server to make sure everything is working. Okay, so in the next video we'll be going for the NoSQL database. Maybe we'll be doing Mongo. So that's it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.